How Arab is Libya? Not kind of Arab, not Arabized, not influenced by Arab culture. I mean genuinely Arab. Because when most people think of Libya, they don't know what to think. Is it part of the Middle East? Since Gaddafi was called the mad dog of the Middle East. Is it North African? Is it Maghrebi? But what if I told you that Libya might actually be one of the most Arabian countries outside of the Arabian Peninsula itself? And no, I'm not just talking about language. I'm talking about tribes, lineage, last names, migration history, DNA, and family origins that stretch directly back to places like Najd, Hijaz, Yemen, and the Arabian Peninsula, right? The Gulf. Today we're breaking down the overwhelming historical and cultural evidence behind Libya's deep Arabian identity, and why so many Libyans can trace their roots directly back to tribes from the Arabian Peninsula. And trust me, this video is going to make a lot of people rethink what they thought they knew about North Africa. Before we start, guys, if you're interested in the hidden history of North Africa, the Maghreb, Arab tribes, Arab migrations, and the untold connections between the Arab world from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Gulf, subscribe right now, because this channel is going deep. We're uncovering the stories people don't talk about, and if that's, and if that interests you, hit subscribe and join the tribe. Part 1. Libya doesn't just sound Arab, it looks Arab. Let's be honest for a second. When people picture North Africa, a lot of them imagine something completely disconnected from Arabia. But then they actually see Libyans, and suddenly the conversation changes. Because one thing even other North Africans notice immediately is how many Libyans, especially tribal Libyans, visibly resemble people from the Arabian Peninsula. Brown complexion, straight to wavy jet black hair, sharp Bedouin style facial features, heavy tribal features, alright, desert appearance, the kind of look you see across Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Yemen, Qatar, and the Gulf. And people notice it. Not just Arabs from the Gulf, even North Africans themselves say it. You'll constantly hear people online comparing Libyans to Gulf Arabs, especially Eastern Libyans. And honestly, why does that surprise people? If a population spent centuries mixing with and descending from Arabian tribal migrations, what exactly were people expecting them to look like? Mediterraneans? Blonde Scandinavians? That's the part nobody wants to say out loud. People are comfortable talking about Arab culture, right? Quote unquote Arab culture, but once you mention visible ancestry, phenotypic similarities, suddenly everybody gets uncomfortable. But reality is reality. Go to anywhere in the four corners of Libya, go to the desert tribes, go to the Arab Bedouin communities, you will see people who could easily blend and pass in any part of the Arabian Peninsula. And that isn't an accident. That comes from ancestry, from tribal continuity, from generations of Arabian migration and preservation. And unlike some countries where tribal identity disappeared, Libya, like its cousins in the Arabian Peninsula, kept it alive. Last names matter, lineage matters, bloodlines matter. That's why so many Libyan surnames, like mine, Al-Qahtani, are directly tied to the Arabian Peninsula. This isn't just some hidden conspiracy, it's right there in the family names, right there in the genetics, right, in the DNA test results, oral histories. Part 2. Why Libyan Arabic sounds so Arabian. Now let's talk about something people really notice the second Libyans start speaking. The dialect. Because this is another area where Libya completely breaks people's expectations of North Africa. A lot of outsiders assume all North African Arabic sounds the same, but nobody who actually understands Arabic knows that's completely false. Libyan Arabic, whether that's the East Barqa, the West Tripoli, the South Fezzan, sounds dramatically closer to the Arabian Peninsula than people realize. It's even influenced all the western desert of Egypt, where they speak our Bedouin Arabic dialect. And one of the best examples online is the Libyan YouTuber Rahalista. People constantly mistake him for being Saudi or from the Gulf. Not just because of how he looks, because he does look Saudi, but because of the way he speaks, the accent, the pronunciation, the rhythm, the vocabulary. Alright? A lot of people genuinely assume he's Saudi the first time they hear him. And honestly, can you blame them? When us Libyans speak, there's a very obvious Bedouin and Gulf-like sound to the dialect. It doesn't sound like Moroccan Arabic, the poster child for North African or Maghrebi Arabic. It doesn't sound heavily separated from the Arabian Peninsula. And in fact, to many Arabs, Libya almost sounds like a Western extension of the Arabian Peninsula itself. That's why it always feels strange when people try grouping Libya linguistically with countries that sound completely different. Take Morocco for example. Moroccan Arabic has its own unique history, right? Pronunciation and outside influences that make it noticeably different from Gulf dialects. But Libyan Arabic, especially Bedouin Libyan Arabic, you can hear the Arabian roots immediately. Even Gulf Arabs notice it. That's why so many Saudis, Kuwaitis, and Gulf Arabs say Libyans feel familiar. Not just culturally, not just physically, but linguistically too. And again, this doesn't happen randomly. Language follows people. Dialect follows migration. And Libya preserved an enormous amount of Arabian tribal influence in the way we speak, right? That's part of why Libya stands out so much in North Africa. Sometimes it doesn't even feel like it's part of the Maghreb, and more like the final western frontier of the Arabian Peninsula.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وكل عام وانتم بخير جميعا. يجعلكم الله متمين على الخير ونستوا بعضكم. مريد نقول انستونا انا واحد منكم انستوا بعضكم ويا نسوكم ضنا عمكم اللي جوكم من غربه من بنغازي ومن بشر ومن شحيات ومن قبه ومن سرت ومن عربنا اللي مغرب كله الحمد لله اللي ما جاء عليها واحد ينوب عنا وسلموا عليكم كلهم ويجعلكم الله متمين على الخير وباذن الله تعالى. يعني هذه مش اول سنه نديروها، ثاني سنه، ولكن انتم اعتبروا كل سنه خلوها هي المنطلق وتكون باذن الله تسلموها للسنه الاخرى على خير وسلامه وتبقوا متواصلين وكل عام يبقى العدد خير من اللي قبله. لا هذا عاد خلاص درعتها. ايوه عرفتوا. واللي نريدها هي قبيتكم تبقوا متمين على الخير، واللي يقول كلمه في جلوه وكلمه في الصلاح وفي صلاح الوطن تقولوا ربنا يعينه، واللي يبقى في غير جلوه تقولوا ربنا يهديه وتطلبوا له الهدايه. نحن هالوقت الكلمه اللي المفروض تنقال لنا رانا في منزلق خطير، بلادنا في وضع خطير. هذه اللي المفروض يتكرس ويتركز عليها العمل الاساسي، اللي هي ان نكونوا في جلوة الوطن كلنا وفي الاتجاه الصحيح. اللي في الاتجاه الصحيح ربنا يعينه، واللي في غير جلوة ربنا يهديه ويرده للطريق. يقولوا كان عندنا حق مطلوب ملين من العدد والسوايا، ومنا غيرنا يبوا حقوق نجرونين يبقوا رضايا. اليوم وقتنا سوق في سوق وشاب الوبر من الحوايا، سارقين في قبل ساحة الروق وشهينا نضاف النوايا. هذه هي الوصايا.
Part 3, my story. My name is Rakan Al-Qahtani, and yes, Al-Qahtani. That name goes back to Qahtan, the tribe, not to be confused with the Qahtanite and Adenite split between tribes that originate in southern Arabia, modern-day Yemen, and those that originate from central and North Arabia, modern-day Saudi Arabia, okay, northern Saudi Arabia. The Qahtan tribe like Jabur, Zubayd, Hawajir, all originate from Yemen and spread throughout the Khalij and North Africa. In Libya, especially eastern Libya, Barca, you can still find members and tribal histories tied to these migrations. And growing up, hearing stories about tribal origins wasn't unusual for us. For many Arab families, especially tribal families, ancestry isn't just some random fact, it's identity, it's memory, it's history. And Libya is full of that. That's why when people try to act like Libya being Arab is just linguistic, it ignores the reality that many Libyan families have preserved. Arabian tribal identities for generations. Even today, you'll find Libyans with surnames linked to tribal names across Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Kuwait, Qatar, and the Gulf. For example, the famous Banu Sulaym tribe, originally from Najd, Saudi Arabia, is found in Libya, North Fazan, in the Jufra district. That connection never disappeared. Honestly, a lot of people outside of Libya had the wrong idea about Libyan identity. They think Libya is only similar to the rest of North Africa, but anyone who actually knows tribal history and genealogy knows that the majority of the population of Libya are direct descendants from the Arabian Peninsula. In Libya, there are families and tribes whose roots go back to Najd Qahtan. In Najd, for example, there are families from the Jabur tribe, and the Jabur are historically known to descend from Zubayd of the Qahtani Medhiji tribes. That creates a direct connection between eastern Libya and tribes across the Arabian Peninsula. And honestly, when you look at Gulf tribes like Hawajir, Ubayda, Sanhan, all well-known Qahtani tribes in Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Kuwait, it really feels like there's a deep connection between us and them. It's almost like Libya is a natural extension of the Arabian Peninsula when it comes to tribal culture and Bedouin traditions. All this shows that Libya was never isolated from the Arabian Peninsula. The history of Arab migrations and Qahtani tribes created a real extension from Arabia all the way into Libya over hundreds of years. And that's why the majority of Libyans often feel culturally closer to the Arabian Peninsula than they do with the Maghreb. And that's why the majority of Libyans often feel culturally closer to the Arabian Peninsula than they do with the Maghreb, and are often left out of the Maghreb discussion altogether, often mentioning strictly Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia. Even our brothers in Mauritania don't get put in there. At the end of the day, this isn't about putting down any other people or identities. Libya itself is diverse, okay? And that diversity is part of its history, but it's important for people to understand that there's also the Arab majority of the population of Libya that is composed of the tribes that settled in Libya from the peninsula, with roots stretching back to Banu Sulaym, Aniza, Banu Hilal, Rajiban al-Dawasir, and in my case, Qahtan. And those connections are still alive today in the culture, dialect, and shared identity between Libyans and the people of the Arabian Peninsula. Part 4. The Banu Sulaym effect. Now, if we're talking about Arab tribes in Libya, we have to talk about one of the biggest migrations in North African history, the Banu Sulaym. This tribal migration completely reshaped huge parts of Libya and changing it forever. Originally from the Arabian Peninsula, the Banu Sulaym tribes moved westward centuries ago and became deeply established throughout Libya and across other parts of the Maghreb, like the Sha'aniba in Algeria and southern Tunisia as well too. And their influence is still everywhere, not just culturally, not just genetically, which is super important because they spread all over the place, not just linguistically. Tribal structures, surnames, oral history, and social organization in Libya still reflect that heritage. And many Libyan tribes today either identify directly with Banu Sulaym ancestry or with related Arab tribal confederations connected to their migration to North Africa. And if you talk to Libyans themselves, okay, anyone who's from Libya, including myself, many will proudly tell you exactly which tribe they come from. And if they don't tell you, their last name will. That's something outsiders often underestimate. Part 5. DNA, haplogroups, and the modern debate. Now, this is where things get interesting. When people talk about Arab ancestry and DNA, one lineage comes up more than almost any other. Haplogroup J1. It's one of the most common paternal lineages across the Arabian Peninsula and North Africa. And it's also found among the majority of the Libyan population, especially in tribal communities. But the real story isn't just J1, it's the branches underneath it. One mutation that gets a lot of attention is FGC1 mutation, a major J1 branch often associated with many Arab tribal lineages, particularly those traditionally linked to the Adenite ancestry. Because it's so widely discussed, some people mistakenly assume that FGC1 mutation represents all of Arab tribal DNA within Libya, and it doesn't. Under J1 are many different branches, each connected to different tribes and ancestral histories. My own Y-DNA results place me under J-FGC4421 as a member of the Qahtan tribe. a different J1 branch from the FGC1 lineages that are often talked about online. And that's what makes Libya so fascinating genetically. While J1 is widespread throughout the country, the specific mutations vary from tribe to tribe. Some lineages fall under FGC1 related branches, while others belong to branches like FGC 4421 and numerous other J1 subclads. So when it comes to Libya, the story isn't simply that J1 is common, it's that generations of tribal history have preserved a remarkable diversity of J1 lineages, each reflecting a different Arab tribe that belongs to a different region of the Arabian Peninsula, my tribe Qahtan, originating from modern-day Yemen. Part 6. What about the indigenous populations? Now, before anybody clips this video out of context, let's be real and balanced here. Libya also has indigenous populations. That includes the people of Zawara, Tuareg, in the south, Tabu and Kufra, and other small minorities that are part of Libya's story. And those communities absolutely matter. Libya's history is layered, complex, ancient. But here's the point many people miss. Acknowledging indigenous North African history does not erase the massive Arabian influence and migration that shaped and molded Libya over centuries. Both things can exist at the same time, and if we're being honest, the indigenous are just a speck of sand in the sea of Arabs in Libya. It's deeply embedded into the country's social fabric, from tribal structures, to family names, to dialects, to customs, to poetry, to hospitality culture, to marriage traditions, to desert culture. You can see the Arabian connection everywhere. That's why Libya often feels culturally closer to the Arabian Peninsula than many outsiders expect. To have the information a bit more accessible to anyone who's interested in it, for the DNA test results and that kind of thing, I'll make sure to leave a link to it in the description box. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video and the videos to come with people that you would think would deem it to be interesting. And yeah, follow me on this journey, guys. I'll catch you up in the next one. Bye for now.